If your opinions feel borrowed, this is for you. Today, we're going to practice thinking for yourself, clearly, calmly, and responsibly. No BS, just habits you can use in real life. Independent thinking isn't automatic contrarianism. If the crowd says left and you reflexively say right, the crowd still owns your steering wheel. Real independence is self-authored judgment. You pause, you examine, and you choose, based on evidence and values you actually understand. It's not about being the loudest voice. It's about being the most grounded. You can still agree with others and be independent as long as you arrived there through your own process. A few voices from the past offer guidance. Socrates reminds us that the unexamined life isn't worth living. Start with better questions, not louder answers. Kierkegaard says truth is something you must live. If a belief never costs you time, attention, or discomfort, it might be a costume. Nietzsche warns about the herd. Popularity is comfort, not proof. Hannah Arendt shows how ordinary people do harm when they stop thinking and just follow scripts. Thinking is a responsibility. John Stuart Mill invites experiments in living. Try ideas in your life before campaigning for them in everybody else's. The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, teach that you cannot control events, but you can control your judgments. Laozi points to stillness. Clarity needs space. Simone Weil calls attention sacred. Where you place attention, you place your life. And Carl Jung gives us individuation, becoming who you are by meeting the parts of yourself you'd rather ignore, the shadow. If you don't meet your shadow, it will steer you from the dark. Now let's make this real. Let's say everyone you follow starts a strict diet. Independent thinking doesn't mean mocking it or joining blindly. It means defining success up front, energy, lab markers, mood, testing for 2 weeks, and deciding based on your data. No moral crusade, just clarity. Or you're in a meeting and someone pushes to ship early saying, "We'll fix it later." Independent thinking asks one calm question. What is the most credible worst case outcome, and what's its cost? Suddenly people think, not drift. Here's another one. A story explodes online. Before you post, you wait 24 hours, find one primary source, and summarize it in 5 sentences. Then you check the best argument for the side you instinctively dislike. Only then do you form a view. Perhaps your friends dislike a film you liked. Independence doesn't perform. It simply says, I liked it for these reasons, and lets that stand with no further explanation, no justifications. You're practicing self-authored judgment, not auditioning. You want to start a new business, project, or what have you, and people say, the market wants X. Don't argue with them. Run a short test and let reality answer. Ask one clear question. Make the smallest real version you can. Put it out on a steady schedule. Decide ahead of time what would count as a real signal. Keep the core the same and change just one thing each round. At the end, compare what you hoped for with what actually happened. If people lean in, continue. If they shrug, adjust. If they push back, rethink the idea, not your ability. That's John Stuart Mill's experiment in living. Try something, see what happens, and update your judgment. You can use this for anything, a book, a business, a relationship, a habit, because it favors real contact over guesses and learning over ego. Now let's widen the frame with a few deeper ideas that shape how independent minds work. First, epistemic humility. Socrates models it, Montaigne lives it, Keats called it negative capability, the ability to remain in uncertainties without grabbing at premature conclusions. Independent thinkers are comfortable saying, I don't know yet, and then doing the work to know a little more tomorrow than they did today. Second, identity and projection. Jung warns that the shadow, everything we disown, doesn't disappear. It leaks into our judgments. When a view feels threatening, ask what part of your identity is at stake. Often we're defending a self-image, not a fact. Owning your projection turns opponents back into people and arguments back into questions. Third, the ethics of attention. Simone Weil says attention is a kind of prayer, a moral act. Hannah Arendt shows what happens when thinking turns off. Banality fills the vacuum. What you attend to shapes what you can even notice as true or false. Curate inputs not to build a bubble, but to build the capacity to see clearly. Watch your media diet and be careful what you consume. Fourth, have the courage to be singular. Kierkegaard calls it becoming an individual. Nietzsche frames it as creating values rather than inheriting them. Independence requires the quiet courage to be out of sync with your group when your conscience disagrees, and to pay the small social cost without dramatizing it. Fifth, time and patience. Laozi's stillness and the Stoics' discipline both teach slowness. Good judgment matures like film in a dark room. Delay is not indecision, it's respect for complexity. Many mistakes are simply decisions made at the speed of anxiety. Sixth, use language as a tool of clarity. Wittgenstein reminds us that many confusions are knots in language. Orwell warns how political cliches can do our thinking for us. Independent minds prefer plain words, concrete claims, and definitions stated up front. If you can't say it simply, you probably can't see it clearly. Now let's walk through a 7-day plan. Feel free to pause this at any time to take notes. This coming week is about building self-authored judgment. 7 days, one focus each day. You don't need perfection, just honesty and follow through. Day 1, input audit. Open the 2 apps you use most. Look at the 10 loudest voices in your feed. For each one, ask, does this raise my understanding or just my pulse? If it's mostly heat, mute or unfollow it. 5 of them right now. Then add 2 sources that often disagree with you but argue with evidence. Say this out loud. I keep sources that teach me how and why, not just what. Set a simple boundary, a 15-minute daily limit on your noisiest app. If you feel FOMO, remind yourself you're not closing doors, you're closing noise. Attention is sacred. Guard yours like gold. Day 2, touch the primary. Pick one viewpoint you care about. Touch the primary source, the actual report, transcript, filing, or study. Read enough to answer, in your own words, what question was asked, how it was studied, what was found, what's uncertain, and what follows from it. Now check one balanced analysis and adjust if you missed something. Finish by speaking or writing 5 calm sentences that explain the story without slogans. Here's an example. Say I care about a proposed community safety bill that promises big crime reductions. I start with the primary sources, the bill text. It's okay to use AI to summarize, but do not use the news. Always go to the source. If there is no source, ask, what is their agenda? Why do they want to promote this opinion? Then check one balanced analysis to see what you missed. Finish with 5 calm sentences in your own words. Better research and questions first, opinions later. Day 3, celebrate the opposite. Choose a topic where you feel sure. For the next 3 minutes, argue for the other side as if your reputation depends on being fair. Describe the best reasons a thoughtful person could hold that view. Then, and only then, state where you still differ and why. The goal is simple. Someone on that side should be able to say, that's fair. This reduces caricature and reveals the real hinge of disagreement. Day 4, turn belief into behavior. Write one sentence. If I do X for 2 weeks, Y will improve by this much. For example, if I write for 25 minutes before I check my phone every morning for 2 weeks, my daily word count will rise from approximately 300 to at least 700. One habit, one metric, one time window. Put the start and end dates in your calendar now. Keep the protocol simple. What you'll do, when you'll do it, and for how long. Define success and failure in advance. Commit to showing up at least 80% of days. You're learning from reality. Day 5, shadow questions. Pick a recent event that spikes your emotion. For example, a blunt comment from your boss or someone you care about. You felt a jolt. Now sit somewhere quiet and breathe. Answer 4 questions honestly. What part of my identity feels threatened? What am I assuming without evidence? What exactly would change my mind? And if the opposite were true, how would the world look? Notice where your body tightens. That edge is your shadow. Choose one small behavior that acknowledges what you found. Maybe it's as simple as asking a clarifying question before you argue. You're not erasing the shadow, you're seeing it so it stops steering from the dark. Day 6, prediction and calibration. Make 3 to 5 forecasts you genuinely care about. For each, say the claim, the deadline, the because, and your confidence. 60, 70, 80, or 90%. For example, if I walk 30 minutes after dinner for 2 weeks, my morning energy will average 7 out of 10 or better. Confidence, 80%. Put reminders on the deadline dates. When the time comes, mark right or wrong and write one sentence about what you learned. Aim to calibrate. If you say you're 70% confident, you should be right about 70% of the time. This is how your judgment becomes trustworthy. Day 7, silence hour. Put your phone in another room. Take a notebook and find a quiet place. For the first 10 minutes, just arrive, breathe, and watch thoughts pass. For the next 30, ask one gentle question. What do I really think now? If your mind reaches for a slogan, let it go and return to the question. In the final 20 minutes, write one sentence you believe more after this week, one action you'll take for the next 7 days, and the date you'll review it. Stillness makes space, judgment makes use of it. Tomorrow, skim what you did this week and answer 3 lines. What changed in how I think? What changed in what I do? And what will I keep for the next 30 days? Choose one practice to continue daily. Quiet time or prediction journaling are strong anchors. All week, you're basically taking your mind to the gym. Do those reps and you build the core skills of independent thinking, attention, evidence, empathy, action, and reflection, so your choices come from understanding, not noise. Watch for red flags that you're outsourcing your mind. If your view changes when your group's view changes and nothing new happened, pause. If you can't explain your position without quotes or slogans, pause. If you have instant opinions on complex topics, slow down. If you consume far more than you create or learn, rebalance. If you never write anything down, start with one sentence today. Jung wrote that if you don't become who you are, the world will hand you a mask. Independent thinking is how you answer first. Protect your attention. Test your ideas. Meet your shadow. Give your mind the space to become your own. If this helped, save it. Share it with someone who values clarity, and start the 7-day plan today. Think clearly. Act honestly. Repeat.